everyone, and welcome to A Traveling Knitter. This is chapter 43. It is July 27th, and it is late at night. So, we unfortunately don't have any completed quests today, / this time around. I have been in a full-on reading mode, so I've really spent a lot of time reading rather than knitting, but I have gotten quite a lot of, well, not quite a lot of, but I've gotten some knitting done. You'll be able to see it. So let's just jump into what I've actually been making. So the first thing I'll talk about is this guy right here in my beautiful Daisy Girl & Company bag. This is my Threshold sweater by Melanie Berg, and one of the skeins just fell onto the floor, but that's okay. Let's see. I am in the middle of a round, which honestly doesn't really matter because I am knitting it in the round. And this is what it looks like. So I have gone, so there's my progress keeper. It's a little Eat Me from Alice in Wonderland. So I've knit, I don't know what that is, maybe almost 2 inches? Maybe 2 inches? So there you go. This is, and I'm holding it like this because this is the top, and so you knit down. The back is just straight stockinette, so that's kind of enjoyable. So I've got, like, clearly I've connected it in the round, so this is where the sleeves are gonna go. Wow, this is like, I don't know why I'm struggling with this so much, but there's where the sleeves go. It, again, looks a little small. I'm really hoping that it'll stretch out. Again, I have talked about this, but I actually knit a swatch for this, and my swatch told me I needed to size down by a lot. So I did, and I'm really hoping that this is still gonna work out. I keep just stretching it. Honestly, I think it should, because the 2 sweaters that I've made, one of them is in superwash yarn and it has stretched out from when I knit it, so it is honestly, it's not that it's too big, but it is significantly larger. Mainly the sleeves are what irritate me, but I always wear this watch, which you can even see, well, I don't know if you can see, but there is a very distinct tan line. Yeah, you can see it. So I always wear my Fitbit, and so because my Fitbit is, you know, larger than my wrist, it stretches the sleeves out unevenly. So yeah, working on my sweater, which is actually, when I first started this, I think I had said that this pattern was going to get really annoying. It hasn't really been. It's been fine. I mean, I prefer knitting this part than this part, but it's not bad at all. And I'm looking forward to being able to wear this. And yeah, I'll definitely get some wear out of that this year in the winter. Down it goes. The next thing I've been working on, yeah, it's only been 2 things. I have not touched the socks. The next thing is in this field bag, and it is my On the Spice Market. And this is also by Melanie Berg. So both of the projects I'm working on are Melanie Berg. And it is my shawl. It looks a mess because of these freaking ends. I slip the end stitches, so that turns into an issue with the color changes. I tried to, like, I was reading that some people like carry it up. That's a lot of carrying to have with your yarn, so I don't really understand how that's worked for people. What I've had to do is I tie them together because of how big the stitches end up getting on the sides, which is just really annoying. And then I'll come back and fix them. So I'll come back and I'll weave in the ends I have tried a couple different methods of weaving as I go, and I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan so far of the edges. But I am on, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on the 5th color, 5 out of 6, and then I do something different. I think I knit more with the gray. Yeah, then I start doing this part right here. So more gray, and then with the individual colors for the gradient kit. I've been enjoying it. This is what I've been working on at work when I'm on phone calls. And then the sweater is what I've been working on at home. And I can like watch TV and work on it. So both of them are pretty enjoyable. The yarn that I'm using, this is Lolo Did It in her, I think it's Angry Rhino colorway. And then the other colors are I have this ball band thing. It's the Omba's Great Barrier Reef gradient set from Miss Babs. And I don't know if you can actually get these colors, but just in case you wanted to know, we have Dunk, and Coral Cod, so that's the really nice pop. Heron, Keppel, which is the only color I don't think I've used Keppel yet. Lizard, and Badera. Actually, Lizard might not be used yet. I can't remember what order. I wrote the order down so that I wouldn't mess up. I wrote it right on the pattern for what colors I decided would be which contrasting color. So that is the shawl. 2 things that I've been working on, and like I said, I'm enjoying them. I really don't have any plans on casting anything new right now because I technically have the sweater, the shawl, the sock, and then of course that blanket, which I haven't really shown you in a while. Maybe I'll pop that out this weekend. For Smogstrove, I did want to show you something that I found at Walmart, and it's this fat quarter. The brand is called Emma and Mila, and it's adorable. I love it. Like, I thought this was so cute. I wish that they had more fat quarters of this style and in different areas, like, you know, not just London, but maybe one for Paris and other major cities. I feel like London and Paris and New York tend to be themed in a lot of things, but yeah, I just thought this was really, really cute. So I picked up just one. I believe they had like the strips or something. There was another, but I felt this brand I saw in bigger kits, and I thought about getting it, but I have a couple of those quilt strip jelly rolls. I have a couple of those jelly rolls that I want to turn into blankets, and I haven't yet, and I think I have I think I have 5 jelly rolls, 2 that I purchased, or 4 of them that I purchased to go together, and I really don't need to buy more jelly rolls before I make, you know, one quilt. So I decided only to get this little guy because I pulled out my sewing machine right there, and I was working on some pieces. I realized I had so many scraps that I had like cut up and organized, and so I figured I would just make a project bag from the scraps that I had. I ended up not fully making it, but I did weave them. I did iron them, so I have my ironing board out and I had made them nice and crisp, but I did not have like an inner lining that was going to be the same size, so I stopped. But yeah, so that's the only thing to add to Smaug's Trove. For a novel idea, I do have a couple books to talk about, well, more than a couple. They are stacked up right back here. And I figured we would talk about these guys first. So this is the series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. So I finished number 7, which is The Vile Village. Number 8, which is The Hostile Hospital. And number 9, which is The Carnivorous Carnival. I gave The Vile Village, I believe, is the one I gave a 3-star, and then Hostile Hospital and Carnivorous Carnival I gave the 4 stars to, if I remember. I'm not a super harsh rater. They entertain me. They're typically getting a 3 or more. So what happens in these, I'm not gonna spoil them, but if you know anything about the Unfortunate Event series, it is about 3 orphans who are just trying to escape the clutches of an evil man named Count Olaf. So Count Olaf appears in all 3 books. Each of the 3, what's kind of interesting is putting it in line with Harry Potter, in every single book there is an authoritative figure who takes the orphans in. So with this one, your authoritative figure is actually the village, which is kind of interesting. But now the orphans are on their own. So the orphans run away and they make their way to this hospital. And then after the hospital, they are in a carnival. So neither of these are like placements by Mr. Poe. So that's what's kind of interesting. I am currently reading the 10th one, which is quite the deviation from the other ones. I mean, these books have been out for years, so the deviation is that the orphans are separate. They're separated in the 10th one. So, yeah, I'm enjoying them, and I hope to finish the whole series by the end of July. I only have a couple more days, but I think I can squeeze them in. The next book I'll talk about is by far my favorite one that I've read so far, and that is A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. So this is the second book in the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy? Is that what the trilogy is called? I'm not sure, but this is the second one. It's a big one. It's 509 pages, and it was great. I read it in maybe 2 days, I think. So again, since it is the second book in a series, I'm not going to go too much in depth with what this one is about, but the first one involves, or background story to the whole theme, there are 4 Londons. Basically, it's 4 worlds, with London being almost like a connection between them, so they all have a London. So you've got the Red London, where they have magic and it's great, and it's a very not flowing, there's a lot of growth and it's a healthy world. Then you have White London, where the magic has just been sucking away and they have these evil twins on their throne. And then there's Grey London, which is basically like the world we live in, where there really isn't any magic. And then you have Black London, which is just gone. No one really knows what happened to Black London, but basically it's like, it's almost like a black hole. It's eaten itself. So in the first novel, we follow a couple characters, one person from White, one person from Red, and then another person from Gray, and they all kind of converge together. There's an evil plot, which we have to overthrow, good versus evil, but not a straight good versus evil, because every person has a little bit of evil in them, as well as a bit of good, and it's just so good, and this book was so good as well. I highly recommend it. I can't wait to read the third one. I do own it. The third one is even larger than this one, so I'm not sure if I will get to it this month, because I need to read, I don't know, like 7 more books before the month ends. Basically, I have to read a book a day while working out, while eating, while sleeping, and while having social life. Life is tough. I just wish I could read and craft all day long and not work at all. Don't we all wish that? The next book is Stowaway by Karen Hesse, or Hesse. This is it's a children's book. Karen Hesse is a Newbery Award winner for Out of the Dust, which is a book about the Dust Bowl Depression, which I have read. I read that, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe in elementary school. I never got around to reading Stowaway, and I always wanted to. So I saw it at, we have a bookstore called Second and Charles, which is a fabulous bookstore. It's a secondhand bookstore. So I had picked this up one day at Second and Charles. It had to have been maybe $2, and relatively good condition. It is a little bit sun bleached, but otherwise great. I read this in 2 days because I took a break. There are some interesting drawings. So no, I don't want to do that one or that one. There's one about like with the ship. So there's like line drawings kind of. So the book is about a boy who has stowed away on a ship called the HMS Endeavour. If that sounds familiar, that is the ship that Captain James Cook captained, and it circumvented the globe in 1768. Took them 3 years, and they were on a secret mission to find Australia. They also had a couple of like naturalists, or they're basically documenting new species, new plants, new everything. And we follow, it's a like a journal entry style, you know, Friday. I don't know why I needed to explain what a journal is. You probably know. But yeah, so it's the boy is like, what was his name? Nicholas Young. What's interesting about it is Nicholas Young is actually one of the people on the ship, and he doesn't appear on the list of people on the ship until they are in Africa or something, and there's not a lot known about this boy other than he was 11 when he was on the ship. So Karen Hesse kind of creates her own idea of how he got there. Research shows that it's highly likely that he did stow away on the ship, because he wouldn't have been picked up in Africa. I started to like, not really annotate, but just like select things that I liked. And what I did save was actually, there is a timeline. They call it an itinerary, but it's a timeline. I appreciated the timeline because you have timeline of like the basic events, like when they first spotted a specific island, when they landed on an island, when they left an island, when there was a storm, things like that. So I like that, so I could just kind of like tell what he was talking about. And then there was also a glossary, which I did not need the glossary other than to know what a grampus was, which is a small black fierce variety of toothed whale related to the dolphin. I also really liked this map at the back. because I could kind of tell where they were. What I think would be really cool if you were a teacher, you could group this with learning about maps, because at the beginning of most of the entries, other than when he is hiding, there is... Other than when they're hiding and they're not moving, he gives you the latitude, longitude degrees of where they are on the map. So you could kind of point, but you could like make it each day you could move your pin to a different location of where the ship is. So I thought that was cool. The map in the back doesn't actually give you the latitude, longitude, so I couldn't use that to figure out where they were. You just had to use context clues. So anyway, I enjoyed this. I felt parts of it were pretty boring, to be completely honest. There are swaths of entry where it's just like, did the same thing. It's, you know, they're all stuck on this boat that you don't really do, like, you do stuff, but it's so repetitive, right? Like, either clean or fix a sail or clean some more. So there, you know, there's not a ton going on in this book, but it was enjoyable, and I think I would have liked it a lot more if I had read it when I was younger. But totally what it delivers, which is a boy on a boat going around the world, taking 3 years to do it. The last physical book, I have a Kindle book that'll pop up on the screen. But the last physical book is this one called No Judgment by Meg Cabot. I did receive this from Goodreads, and so just so that you're aware, I did not purchase this. This is an ARC, or an advanced reader copy, or what do they call this? Uncorrected proof. So they all mean the same thing, but this book will come out on September 19th. And it's really cool because you've got, like, it tells you what the marketing campaign is going to be. The price is going to be $15.99, or $20 Canadian for the paperback. And it's 384 pages if you are interested about that. I'm a big fan of Meg Cabot, and Meg Cabot and I actually share the same birthday, which is cool. This is definitely like an adult chick lit book. I've read almost every single Meg Cabot book. I have not read her Boys series, and then I have not read her Mediator series because for whatever reason, my library in like my childhood library just never had the Mediator series, like, ever. They only had one of them. Ever. So I didn't get around to reading that. I do want to, but yeah, so Meg Cabot, she's written so many books at this point. I would say upwards of 50, maybe. And I find them always really enjoyable to read. I believe I have recommended one of her series, her Size 10 is Not Fat series. This is in line with that. It's a little bit more risque than I believe the other one is. I think. This one does describe sex, but only once, so I don't say it's like a super risque book, but it's a romance book. I notated 2 things in this book, just because I thought I would maybe read you part of it, or maybe I should tell you what this book is about. Yeah, let's start there. So we have a girl who had some problems, not of her own choosing, but something happened to her in New York, and she decides that she needs to get away. So she goes to her childhood family vacation spot, which is an island in the Florida Keys. So she pops down there and she gets a waitressing job, and then a hurricane hits. Her mom is insisting she needs to leave. Her ex-boyfriend is insisting she needs to leave, and she's like, nope, I'm staying right here. So she survives the hurricane, and then realizes that there are a lot of pets that have been left behind and their owners can't get back to them. So she sets up a hotline and then goes to help save the animals. So that's the blurb. And the blurb on the back, I don't know if this is going to be the same blurb that is on the actual book, because the blurb on the back is basically the entire book. So what I just told you is, a big part of the book, but it doesn't say everything. This book, I'm not going to read this last paragraph because I don't know if that's what's going to be on the back of the book, but the last paragraph is something that happens way back here. So I don't know. I gave it 3 stars because I found it very entertaining, but the issue that I had with it was I was expecting a full-on save the animals operation. The save the animals doesn't even happen. Yeah, the save the animals parts doesn't even happen till right here. What is that? A third or a quarter of the way until we're done. Yeah, so I don't know. I felt a little misled with what this was going to be about. There was a lot of build up until the hurricane just happened. Or until the hurricane happened. Okay, so this is, we're pretty much about halfway through the book. The hurricane has just started. I don't know. For a book being about a hurricane, this is a lot of build up. And it's chick lit. We don't need that much build up. And the font's relatively large. So, 3 stars. I would recommend it. It's an entertaining and enjoyable. Some of the funny parts. So, the first thing I had starred, our main character is kind of packing up a bunch of stuff because she is relocating and she's going inland to her boss's house because her boss's house is Cat 5 approved. So it can withstand the winds, it has a generator, it's going to be safer. So she's talking about all the things she's bringing, and she's debating do I bring the emergency candles? Do I bring the flashlight? They probably have their own. And she says, still, it wouldn't hurt to bring my own. Everyone in a crisis needs to pull their own weight, which I kind of chuckled at that. That was kind of funny. And then this little enlightening gem. One of the characters is a girl, I think she's 15. Her mom is not present. They allude to drugs, I'm pretty sure. Her name is Nevaeh, which is heaven spelled backwards. So she's talking about this boy, and our main character is giving her advice, saying, well, be yourself. No boy could help but like you if you act like yourself around him. And Nevaeh, she rolled onto the bed with a sigh, reached out to scratch Gary, the cat, under the chin. Everyone is always saying that, but I don't understand what that means. Act like yourself. I'm 15. I don't even know who I am. True, girl. No one knows who they are. I'm 28 and I'm still trying to figure that out. No Judgments by Meg Cabot, again, that comes out September 19th. I gave it 3 stars. I wouldn't read it again, but it was enjoyable and a really quick read. As all Meg Cabot books tend to be. I fly through her books. So then for our last book, which I will put up on the screen here, I guess. The last book is called D-Day Girls. Now there is a longer title, and of course there's an author, but I really don't remember that. And my phone is currently being used, so I can't look it up. But this book, unfortunately, I gave 2 stars. I did receive this from the publisher for a review, and I wasn't the biggest fan. It should have been something, it should have been right up my alley. It was about women, various women, and how they helped with D-Day, the D-Day invasion, and the war in general. My problem with the book was primarily how it was written. I found it so confusing. and maybe it's because I was reading it on my Kindle, and so the layout wasn't like correct or something. I don't really know, but I did not have a good time. I felt like it was a slog to read. There are various women, and I could not keep track of them. Also, there would be random parts that I just did not, like, why are we even talking about this? There would be a section where we would talk about this woman and her being in Paris, and then there would be a paragraph about a cafe, like, really detailed about the cafe. Okay, cool. But then it wasn't like brought back in to why we were spending so much time discussing the cafe. There'd be like one little blip about how our main character met someone there or something. Okay. But there wasn't like a ton of information about that. And then there was another section where it discussed the invasion of, like, subterfuge invasion, and how that became why the Nazis treated their POWs terribly. Okay. Connected to the story. Sometimes it was just thrown in there, and then you're wondering, why are we talking about it? And then you would be tossed back to another character. It was just confusing. And at some parts, it would seem like a narrative. Like the cafe part, it sounded like we were describing the cafe in a novel. Like, I thought it would be, like, the next sentence would be, and then I sat down and had a scone. But no. So it was just, like, to me, it felt like there were too many voices. Like, it was very, very much nonfiction, laying out the facts, and then it would just turn into a narrative. So to me, it just didn't make any sense. I thought it would be something I really like. That is totally my jam. Women kicking ass, historical women, that, true facts. But I just could not get into it, and the writing was just really irritating to me. So why did I give it 2 stars, you may ask, instead of 1 star? Because I didn't hate the book. If I really hate a book, then it goes into the 1 star category, which I still think I should have changed Queens of Innis Lear to a 1 star, which I probably will. Okay. So yeah, those are the books that I read. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. So how many I had last time? I don't know. I'm not going to count. All right. The next segment is Life About Me. If you don't care about this, then goodbye. If you do care, well, it'll be a short one, but I've been traveling. I was in Long Island last week, and I went and did a couple things because I had the night shift. So I worked in the evening. The first night I worked till 1 a.m., and then I decided not to do that because there really was no need. So what did I do? I did stuff during the day, which is great. I went to the beach 2 times. I went to Jones Beach. Cost me $10 to go to Jones Beach. And then I went to Fire Island, and Fire Island cost me $18 because I rode a ferry across. So that was nice. And I actually quite enjoyed that because the place that I was working, they shuttled me to the ferry, and then I ferried, to the island, and then I ferried back. You can't actually take cars onto the island, which was quite cool. I'll put a clip right here of me walking around on the island. Jones Beach was pretty nice. Like I said, it was $10, and the beach was really nice, soft. Not a lot of people because I was there during the day. The Fire Island beach rocks. There were rocks, and the waves were really strong. I did fall down and scrape my knee, so that was great. But otherwise, it was really nice, and I would have enjoyed spending more time on Fire Island. Just as an FYI, it is a LGBTQ friendly beach, and the beach that I happened to go on was a gay men beach. So I was the only woman on the beach. Going, I did not realize that. I was totally fine. I felt completely safe. But I definitely had like some people looking at me because they're probably like, what is this girl doing on our beach? This is our beach. So, but no one like came up to me and was like, why are you here? I did look at signs to make sure it wasn't like private because, I mean, when I got onto the beach, it was me and then maybe 2 other people. So it was really enjoyable. I actually fell asleep, which was, I had like a timer because I needed to catch the ferry again so that we could get to the airport, but I fell asleep with like my arm like this. So I don't know if you can see that, maybe. I burned this part of my arm, so it's, I don't know if you can tell at all, but this is like, it's browner than this arm because I burned it and now it's turned into a tan. Whew. I don't know if you really even cared to know that, but yeah, I burned this part because I didn't put sunscreen right there because it's like underneath my arm. Okay, this is a lot of detail you don't need to know. But anyway, so Fire Island, great. I would vacation on that island. It was gorgeous. There were no cars and you just walked everywhere. And all of the walkways, as you'll see or have seen in the video, were raised because of like the marshes and stuff. Another thing that I did while in New York was I went to Sagamore Hill, which is in Oyster Bay. That is Teddy Roosevelt's home and where the summer White House was when he was president, which was really cool. I really enjoyed that. It was hot. Oh my gosh. I think it was 90 something degrees. It was like 90 something every single day. So it was really hot, which was nice being on the beach. I have a new favorite person, which is Alice Roosevelt. This was Teddy Roosevelt's oldest daughter. She sounds like a badass. One of her famous quotes was, "If you can't say anything good about someone, sit right here by me," because she wanted to gossip. And the tour guide, he was telling us stories about the siblings, and he said that Alice Roosevelt was a big proponent for women's rights, and she could be a bit stubborn. And at one point when Teddy Roosevelt, her dad, saw her smoking in the White House, it was either the White House or I think it was the White House, he said, I better not see you smoking inside of this house. And so she smoked on the roof the next time. And I think that's funny and I appreciate that about her. So I bought this bookmark. Yeah, I was so mad. I bent it at the airport. But yeah, bought a bookmark. It was $1. Also bought a mug while I was there. I really liked it. So if you ever get the chance, I would recommend going up there. I think it was maybe $10 to do that as well. Maybe $15. I don't really remember, but it was worth it. There's the free part. So there's like the house that you get the tour, and then there is like an actual museum. The museum part is free, and then the tour is what you pay for. And they are in separate buildings. They're on separate parts of the parking lot. I recommend doing both. When I got there, I had to wait over an hour, I think, to go on the tour. So there's a tour every half hour, and it was full when I got there. So I spent the whole time in the museum, and I read everything about the museum, and then I walked over, and then the tour started 5 minutes later. So for me, it was fine, and I enjoy reading all the plaques and things, but if you're not into that and you just want to look at the pictures, definitely get there earlier, or you can make reservations. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is a subscription box, and I just want to point out one really cute thing that I got in it. Oop, and I just dropped something. Have you ever heard of Nerdy Post? If you haven't, I highly recommend you check them out. Check out their Instagram. I'll link their website below, I think is what I'll do. But anyway, Nerdy Post is a beautiful subscription box with different tiers, and it kind of centers around artwork. So it's artwork themed on pop culture, and the box that I got or signed up to get was Disney princesses because I love Disney princesses. I think I must have mentioned it at least once or twice or 10 times. I don't know, but I love Disney princesses. And one of the items that we got in the box were these postcards. They're beautiful. So it's called howthegal.art or at howthegal_storyart on Instagram. And they're beautiful. So you have Moana, Mulan, Pocahontas, which I think looks great, Snow White, Tiana, Jasmine, Cinderella. Belle is my least favorite out of the whole series. I love Belle, but I don't know. I feel like her face looks weird. So that's kind of sad. But Aurora and Ariel. So those are all the postcards, and they are, you know, postcards. You've got the lines and stuff. This was just one of the things I got in the box. I got a bunch of other things, including a Tangled pillowcase, a Merida pin, a bookmark, several prints. One of them was like a foil print, which was from Frozen. I love it. I've got the prints displayed on my bookshelf. And speaking of bookshelf, I decided last weekend to move my furniture because I don't know about you, but I love moving furniture. I'm not even being sarcastic. I love reorganizing, inventing spaces, because it's like you've moved, but you haven't moved. I may be one of the rare people in this world that loves to move. I actually really enjoy it. I like going to a new place and having a new organization. I love, I moved my bed around so it's in a different spot. I moved, pretty much all of my furniture has been moved except for the dresser because there really is no other place to put the dresser, though I have been thinking about putting it in the closet. But yeah, so I love moving stuff around, and I decided to split up my bookshelf. I want to get another bookshelf, but in the meantime, I decided to reorganize my decoration shelf because I have one of those, and I moved most of my fantasy, so it's like adult and YA fantasy, out into the living room. It looks really nice, and it's kind of organized, like the top shelf is Harry Potter. So yeah, I've been really enjoying moving stuff around. It also kind of forces me to clean and tidy and go through stuff and throw things away. So yeah, if you're ever, feeling just tired with the way things look, I recommend reorganizing. Move your furniture around. Even if it's just moving your bed by like a foot, try it, or put it on the other wall and just swap all the furniture from one side to the other. Try putting, if your desk is in your bedroom, try putting it in the living room. Or if it's in a different room, put it in your bedroom. It's fun. At least I think it's fun. It will be a mess when you first do it, but it's a good way to also clean up. It's also a really good way to clean and vacuum underneath the furniture that you haven't been able to touch. Tip of the day. All right. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it the thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, don't hit the thumbs down because that's just mean. Just hit the little red X and stop watching and stop listening. But I hope you guys are having a really good summer, and I will talk to you in 2 weeks.